Hi. Hi, everybody. It's great to have you all here. Thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for coming and attending our panel today. We're going to be talking about queer body acceptance on stream and lots of different things in that area, but that's our general focus for today. I just want to thank you all specifically to Gaming Live for having us, as well as the sponsors. Gaming Live is presented by Ally, and the Community Zone, which we are part of today, is sponsored by Devolver Digital, which creates some awesome games. It is really great to. So thank you to both of you for your support today and helping us make this happen. I'm really excited today. We've brought together two different stream teams in some different capacities. We've got our Spark Creators stream team, as well as Team Overture, as kind of coming together today to talk about queer body acceptance in this space. And so I'm very excited, very lucky to have all of my friends here with me today. So I want to start first before we kind of get into introductions, let people introduce themselves briefly. I do want to kind of preface our conversation today, say, by we are talking about what many people would feel is a sensitive subject today. So please be conscious. Not all of us are medical professionals. Some of us are medical professionals, but none of us are your medical professional. So keep that in mind. Same with the fact that we are not mental health professionals as well. So while we're talking about queer body acceptance and some of the things that we see going on our own streams, as well as communities that we're part of, be aware that if you have questions and things like that we may not necessarily be able to answer those today, but we will certainly be able to explain our own experiences and tell you where we're coming from in that regard as well. Before we kind of get into some of our questions for today, I'd love to let each of my panel members introduce themselves. So I would love to start with Bobby. Bobby, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is HaiBobby, or go just by Bobby. I am a team founder of Team Overture, which is the other stream team that's here with Spark, and I play Apex Legends, do community tournaments, and my pronouns are he/they.
Thank you, Bobby.
Mhm.
Lulu?
Hi, my name is Lulu, otherwise known as Ludibelle. I am a team admin for Team Overture and one of the founding members and team leads for Team Spark. I do mostly variety games, a lot of horror, a lot of Dead by Daylight, and I like to foster a positive space where everyone can feel welcome and like they're part of a community.
I love that. Queenie?
Hello, my name's Queenie, or Trauma Queenie, but my friends on Twitch call me Queenie. I'm a bisexual woman in gaming here on the platform. That's mostly panicking and screaming at things that maybe don't need to be screamed at. I am the resident health professional. I am a RSN or a BSN RN. So I have some education as far as that goes, but my pronouns are she, her, and also a member of Team Spark.
And Kosi.
Hi, I'm Kosi. My pronouns are he, him. I am a personal trainer, and on Twitch, I focus on sweat inside and outside the gym, meaning holistic fitness, health, nutrition, and anything competitive gaming, esports, you name it. I'm going in hard in the paint. And any questions that you have for me, I focus primarily on the queer community in terms of fitness and everything that kind of revolves around that.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing that. I really, really appreciate it. My name's CeeDub. It's great to be here. I'm a charity streamer, a variety streamer, and a bear streamer as well. So I kind of touch on a lot of different aspects. I'm also a proud member of Team Spark. And I'll be moderating with you today and kind of facilitating our conversation. I think we can kind of go ahead and jump into it. So I have noticed over the years, and I'm sure that you've noticed, that this mentality of what used to be considered body positivity has shifted in a much, frankly, healthier way to a more of a space of body acceptance, basically meaning that we are ourselves, we are our bodies, and we accept them as they are and change them as we choose, not based on societal standards. So I kind of want to throw this question out to you all to kind of get us get started today. And we'll start with Bobby, if that's okay. But Bobby, what do you think what does No, what does body acceptance mean to you?
Body acceptance to me, because I used to be all about like body positivity and whatnot, and with the change into body acceptance, it's a learning opportunity for a lot of people. They normally don't get it, but it's accepting who I am for like how I am right now, knowing that any changes that again, like you said, they're for yourself, and you accept others as they are as well. We don't need to pass judgment on other people for wanting to go on a diet or wanting to work out or wanting to stay how they are. It's their choice. I think that body acceptance also goes to how you self-express, whether like you dye your hair, with how you wear your clothes, any of that. That's completely up to you. And being on the digital space, like I'm not afraid of hiding who I am. And if I ever get trolls or anything calling me anything in the chat, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's not going to affect me. I know how I present. I know my size, and I'm okay with that. So body acceptance to me is a more powerful thing than body positivity. I think it just it also helps with like self-esteem and self-love. So that for me is body acceptance.
Yeah, thank you, thank you for sharing that. I a lot of those things hit me very personally because I was like, yes, yes, yes. I'm like over here doing like emphatic head nods. So, Lulu, what does body acceptance mean to you?
Body acceptance, I mean, Bobby really hit the nail on the head. Body acceptance is understanding that everyone comes from a different place, and everyone is free to be who they are, and to change their bodies or leave their bodies the same, or to love themselves. I think that body acceptance for me really is foundational on the idea that everyone is allowed to love themselves, regardless of whether or not somebody on the internet thinks that they shouldn't. And for the longest time on my stream, I did not face cam because I am fat. And because I am a fat person who would be perceived as a woman on the internet, I didn't do that. And once I did start doing that, it was a lot of, sorry, my dog has a peanut butter toy that he is very frustrated with. And when I actually started doing that, it was a lot of like, this is who I am, accept it or don't. And this is me. So body acceptance is really just about being proud of who you are and loving yourself and allowing other people to love their bodies.
Kosi, what do you approach body acceptance as for yourself? What does it mean to you?
Everyone is really just saying pretty much what I agree with. I've dealt with these similar things in the gym so often with so many clients, and it's very disheartening when people come into the gym with these ideas and these myths that fitness or just the world has kind of pushed into their brains of, well, I've been working out for 4 years. Where are my 8-pack gutter? Why don't I look like Chris Hemsworth, or why don't I look like the Hulk and this and that? And sometimes, or not sometimes, our bodies are all different, and we do not develop the same way everybody else does. And body acceptance is understanding that we can't force a change, but we can learn to love that. And we can't make somebody else change. We can't make somebody else become just something that our bodies genetically do not sometimes want to form. Like I just don't lose weight. I don't. And it's really hard to do that, and to try to force that can put you into a really unhealthy spot.
Queenie, what does body acceptance look like for you?
Yeah, I think everybody did a really good job of kind of expressing my thoughts on body acceptance. And I think something else, especially when it comes to like working out, I think something that helped me accept my body was to stop thinking of my health and my fitness in terms of losing weight. Like, I can go to the gym, I can eat fruits and vegetables because those are good for my body, regardless or not if that means I lose weight in the end. I can build up my strength. I can strengthen my, like at my sport that I played a lot was roller derby. So part of roller derby is having some thick thighs. So like I can strengthen my thighs and train I can get stronger without like my goal being to lose weight. And honestly, joining roller derby and thinking of my fitness in terms of how fast can I skate, how many jumps can I do, you know, like the first time I cleared a 6-inch jump, like we had a jump over 6-inch cones. And I'm like, I am the size of a cinder block on skates. Like there's no way that I'm going to be able to jump over like 6 inches. And then in my mind, I was like, okay, we had just a row of cones and I'm like, okay, cones are cone shape. And I was like, if I just thread my skates through the cones, then I don't have to technically jump over them. And even though like, that's what my brain needed in order to be able to like, yes, you can jump over cones. But like, honestly, the skill came pretty easily once I got over the mental block. But anyway, it's like, you can do things that are good or that people say are good for you to lose weight, but you don't have to lose weight. Like your goal doesn't have to be weight loss. It can just be going hiking because you want to enjoy the scenery, or spending time with your friends, or doing a sport. You know, it doesn't have to be your goal doesn't have to be I'm going to the gym to lose weight, you know.
Absolutely. We also have a guest panelist joining Lulu over there. I really appreciate everybody sharing that because I think it's important as we go into this conversation to have a good understanding that we all kind of have similar-ish vibes for how body acceptance means in ourselves, but they also come from very different directions, right? So Bobby really hit on some different things that I hadn't even really thought of leading into this, about just like hair color, tattoos, things like that like truly are part of who you are from a human body, if you think about it like that. One of the ways that I think that this conversation shifts is that body acceptance and queerness, they collide, right? Like there's like an undeniable intersectionality between those two things because of the world we live in. So Lulu, I'd love to start with you here. What are some unique challenges that queer streamers face regarding body image, specifically about that kind of collision between body acceptance and queerness?
I think in terms of thinking about it from my own perspective, I am a non-binary lesbian content creator, and there's a lot of pressure in queer spaces to look a certain way and to act a certain way and to be a certain way. And when you are not in that mold, either with your body or your presentation or your identity, it can be a lot of pressure and a lot of it can be disheartening to try to create content in a space where everyone expects you to be something else. But in reality, the people who are going to be there for you and the communities that are going to be there for you are going to accept you for who you are and are going to understand that you're just not what people expect you to be, because I'm a fat non-binary lesbian with no gender. And like understanding that being queer already is something that we face. I wouldn't want to say, like, we face a lot of challenges being queer people, and we are othered and we are made out to be different. But in this Twitch space, the overlap between the kinds of things that I face for my body and the kinds of things that I face for being queer, I don't really have to worry about, because I have great communities and great friends and a great cat. But I mean,
Oh, we might have lost Lulu for just a second there, which is no worries there. One of the things that I want to kind of bring up that I think is really, really super important too, is that Lulu several times now has used the word fat, and I think that is super important to be able to acknowledge, because I know that some people for the, there's been so much history around the like concept of fat or fatness and what that means, and it being this derogatory negative space. And I think that is a way to certainly re-engage and re-empower ourselves, to repurpose language in a way that it's supposed to be used, and not as a negative thing. So I really appreciate Lulu for using that quite a bit, and we'll get Lulu back in here when we can. Let me kind of turn that question back to you, Kosi. I know you were talking about this from like a fitness aspect as well, from a training aspect. But what are some unique challenges that either you face or that you think that other queer streamers face regarding body image?
It's a very interesting avenue to navigate when you kind of say you want to be a fitness streamer, right? When not just in streaming content, but in society, right? When you say you are a personal trainer, or when you say I'm an athlete, right? People have this, like Lulu was saying, this preconceived idea of what you should look like, how you should act, right? All these things tied to what you identify as in terms of like your career, or even like just the content you create, right? These labels that people just kind of impose on one another. And it can be rough trying to convince other people that it's like, just look around you. There are so many people that look differently, that do the same thing, but yet those people will go into an environment, whether it be a stream, a gym, a classroom, right? And they'll expect something from the person they're talking to. And I don't know how to really create like a society, or even like a small community rather, where we can learn to go out into the world and like preach that, so that's been something that I've struggled with, right? So I'm pretty transparent, and I'm like very out and open on my Twitter about things that I experience, and a lot of people will be like, oh, but Kosi, you're so big, you've work out, you could snap people in half. There's no way people say these things to you, or there's no way that people view this about you. And it's like, the world has a lot to mold, and whether it's and I find a lot of it comes in the form of like microaggressions, micro behaviors that we just don't know exist. We are getting to that point. But I think that being very transparent and being very open about the things that we experience will help other people see that it's not something that we're over. We try to say the famous phrase, I think, that people say, oh, well, it's 2022, imagine, right? And it's like, yes, imagine. It still happens, right? And I think keeping an open mind and being willing to talk and willing to show your community that you're able to fight against these things and like expose it will help us like get over that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is really interesting to me that you said just now is that people try to deny your reality, in terms of you saying like, no, this happened, and they're like, it couldn't have. Of like, it clearly, I literally just told you it happened. So like, why would you try to deny me of what I'm telling you is to be the truth? So, Queenie, I want to kind of take this question a little bit further here, in specifically kind of referring to like body dysmorphia. And I know when I say that body dysmorphia is a 100%, a legitimate medical disorder, mental health disorder. I'm thinking about it more from like a less of a diagnosed standpoint and more of just like a how you feel standpoint of kind of overanalyzing your flaws. what kind of ways do you see that affecting queer streamers? Like, what kind of ways do we see people kind of acting out in that, or have you seen people acting out in that way?
I am so glad you asked. I could go on for years, literal years, about body dysmorphia. I wrote, and when I was in nursing school, I wrote a heck of a paper about it, but we won't get that deep into it. But I think, I think that I think body dysmorphia, or just the way, words, language, I think body dysmorphia is, to me, encompassing of a larger umbrella of things. And I think when you take a step back and you look at body dysmorphia more of a perspective of the way that I perceive my body is not the way my body presents. Like that is like dysmorphia, right? It's a perceived reality versus physical reality, right? And to me, that presents in so many ways. Like, I know my hair is purple, and my hair is not naturally purple, but to me, if I were to choose the way, like if I were to choose a color that my hair grew out of my head, it would be purple, because that's just, to me, how I feel more like myself when my hair is purple than I do when it's my natural hair color. You know what I mean? And I think that it can be expounded upon infinitely, where like a lot of queer people get discredited because they have, like, I think that the term that I see a lot is, oh, they have an or a non-natural hair color with pronouns in their Twitter bio, you know, like that's a term that people, or a saying that people use to discredit others. And it's like, I don't know, this is just how I feel, you know? I don't know. Anyway, sorry. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. But...
No, I think that you really hit the nail on the head in terms of saying there is so much there, but at the end of the day, it's how I think about it versus how it really is, right? Like, I think that's huge, especially because, I mean, I could go off forever about the different ways that those affect you as a streamer, let alone a queer streamer, right? Like, about like what you think your stream's like versus what you think you're supposed to be giving. So, but I would kind of want to continue on that same thread, like, and if Bobby, if you're comfortable kind of like talking about that as well, like what are some ways, because you are a leader in your stream team community there, so what are ways that you kind of help facilitate conversations or around, or like interact with your team to kind of help promote that idea of like body acceptance in your team?
So for me, and being a founder of a very diverse group of people, I would say the one thing that really stuck with me for a long time was something that Lulu told me, was that the way they told me that I'm so thankful that you stream, Bobby, and you stream as you are, because you accept yourself for as you are, and it made me want to get a cam and stream on camera because you're able to. And if I could lead by example and be someone who can be my authentic self, whether I have different colored hair or like, you know, I get a new tattoo, or say if there's folks on the team who want to stream with the PNG tuber or a VTuber, because they just don't feel like themselves that day, or they just don't have the spoons to, I encourage that. If you can, even if you don't want to stream on camera and you just want to be there in a space streaming for your community, then that's also perfectly valid as well. Everyone goes through those days where you have ups and downs. But I think that, you know, in reality, what is anyone really going to tell you about yourself that you don't already know? That's going to really tear you down. That's why, like, sometimes I'm like, you just have to own it. You have to own yourself for who you are. And, you know, we hear your voice, whether you're a PNG tuber or if you're not on stream or if you're not presenting at all. And we're there for you and your personality, and the people who show up to your streams every time are there for you and your content, whether you're on screen or you're not. So I always try to tell folks, I'm like, if you're not feeling it, then don't feel it. Don't do it. It's totally fine. And your decisions are totally valid, but we're there for you, whether you want to be perceived or not.
Yeah, thank you for that. I feel like, especially in a stream team space, right, where we've already taken this dynamic of like, oh, we're friends with other streamers, or we're all doing this kind of, we're on the same similar mission, right? But now we're in a space where we truly are a kind of unit, or a collaborative unit. I think that there's some chances there to have like some really unique conversations to help validate people and keep people feeling like that what they're presenting matters, because it does, right? It certainly matters, and I especially being in leadership roles for both yourself and for Lulu, like I think that's really, really important, but not just for you. I think that team members are equally as responsible for ensuring that everybody feels comfortable. Kosi, I want to ask you about something that we were kind of talking about as we were prepping for this conversation, so there was the past like 72 hours, past 4 or 5 days, right? There's been a lot of like of online Twitter discussion about, there's that picture that was posted of like the gay pool party or whatever, right? And there was a lot of conversations about like, I'm going to call it quote unquote the company you keep, in terms of like, how do you keep people in your community that are like different body types and things like that? And there was a lot of conversation about people being selective or like discrediting other people. And I know that you have been a big proponent of making sure that when you raid after stream, or when you are just like collabing with other people, you're looking for people that are truly diverse. How do you kind of keep promoting that kind of concept, or that idea of making sure that everybody in your community comes from that kind of diverse body mindset?
It really kind of comes from understanding that, okay, I have a community that I believe came for certain reasons, or, whatever that I may feel that they're here for. And I want to deliver something, or deliver them to something or someone that can provide an opinion, or provide just things that I know I cannot. I'm not going to pretend that I can give a point of view from a non-binary perspective, or a trans perspective. Like it really bothers me when someone fakes that, that experience facade, or that knowledge facade. So I like learning. I'm really addicted to it. Like if I could be in a university, okay, maybe not a university. We're not going to talk about where we get that education from. But as long as I'm learning, I love it. I'm so addicted. Like I study frame data for fighting games. I study like just all sorts of really, really wild things. But so like I like learning from other people, and I think that for us to move forward as a society, we should want that too, right? And yes, that is kind of imposing a little bit on my community. Like, I want you to learn from all these people, but they don't have to, and that's the great thing, that a community doesn't have to follow. They don't have to do anything that they don't want to do. But I just feel like as long as I am trying my best, and sometimes I don't do well, and I'm again willing to learn from other people when I misstep, or when I say something wrong, right? And I think leading by example is just trying to keep that idea alive is something that will help people kind of look at themselves and say, am I really learning about society, or am I only wanting to stay within my own confines or means? I don't know what the word really I should be looking for is, but
I will say one of the things that I really like what you just said just now about not, I don't want to say mistakes, but like owning your learning, right? Like owning your ability to like say, I can make changes. That really resonates with me. And I know that in prepping for kind of this panel, we talked briefly. For my own community, I know that I'm a bigger guy. I identify as a bear, and I also recognize that my community was maybe early on only that. And I was like, I don't like that. I don't want to make a space where people only feel like, like it's like a cis male, like or like just that's all that's welcome here, because it's certainly not the case. But it's just but because I was not, and because I was ignorant to that at the time, right, and not paying attention, it started to happen, and I had to course correct as well, and also just own that I was like, I don't want that to be the case, and I'm going to make some changes around here. In that same vein, my question, this is going to be for all of you, is what are you doing in your own communities to create those safe spaces for people of all walks of life to be there? And I don't know, Bobby, what do you, well, actually, no, Queenie, I'm going to throw it to you. Let's talk about safe spaces for a second. I feel like that term gets thrown around a lot, and maybe not always in the most positive light, and it should be. How do you create safe space in your community?
I try to focus on, like, it's gonna sound cheesy, but love and understanding. I think a lot of times, like in a situation that you mentioned earlier in the panel, there are a lot of times feelings that somebody might harbor towards a certain like group of individuals based on like their personal history, like maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody in the community reminds me of a bully that I had growing up. It's not that this person is a bully to me. They just bring up those feelings around me. So maybe in that situation, I just need to work through my own things. And once I, can move past that myself, then I can rejoin the conversation with them or something like that. So I try to help, like if somebody in my community comes in and they say, oh, this terrible thing just happened, then, kind of trying to just comfort them and be understanding of the situation, and then maybe provide an insight that helps them understand where the other person was coming from, or the communication, like the lapse in communication or effective communication there. And then I think also something that I think happens a lot that people don't really talk about is sometimes you have two people who in and of themselves are not toxic people, but when they get into a group together, it just doesn't mesh. And that, like, yeah, you don't have that coming together, and that is okay. You don't have to be friends with everybody. Sometimes just people's communication styles or what have you, they just butt heads, and that's totally acceptable. And you can remove yourself from that situation with the understanding that neither party is the problem. There's just something that doesn't mesh,
Mm-hmm. I think that in that same vein, right? Like we have we set the ground rules. We set the vibe of like, this is what my community is and what the tolerance level is for that kind of that dysfunction a bit, right? And so you can certainly make space for people to have conflicting opinions as long as it doesn't destroy the vibe of the community,
Yeah, and I think also, sorry,
no, please.
I think also my community, I try to be more of an escapism, like maybe things are going on at work, but you can come here and we can laugh at my character having a mustache in Disney Dreamlight, because that is pretty fantastic, like in some places people make communities where you can trauma dump and work through things. I try to be a little bit more of an escape from those things.
Absolutely. Bobby, same question. What are you doing for creating safe spaces?
So for myself and my community, whether it be the Overture Discord or the extended community outside of my stream, I try my best to lead by example in my spaces with the people that I play with on stream. I think that when someone comes into my stream, and say if I'm playing Apex or Dead by Daylight or something, and they hear femme presenting voices, they hear or they see characters that they identify with on the screen. They see a place where they know they can stay and vibe and feel that, this is a community for them. I know that there have been times where, like, we brand ourselves with things that we identify, and we lean deeply into those identities, whether it be being like a chubby guy or a bear, or hey, I'm like, I'm giving like all of myself into my queerness for my stream. But then that can also alienate people who are seeking a safe space, which you feel like you are presenting as inclusive, but it can make it feel like, hey, this isn't the space for me. And so, like you said, course correcting and being like, no, like, it isn't just for these identifiers, which I align with. These are for everybody. The space is for you. And some things that people have started to, implement are like the let's do a pronoun check. Really leaning into diversity in the games that they play, leaning into the characters that they play and whatnot, having conversations with chat about, how they identify, and it's really how you present to your community that by example of who you are participating with. So I don't know. I also feel like introducing some of my drag stream friends into, some of my streams is like, hey, this is a safe space for people who are gender non-conforming, or, are drag artists and stuff. So it really is leading by example for myself, and leaning into searching for folks that I don't identify the same as sometimes.
Absolutely. I think that that's important, to have a space where you can be yourself and also not be fully surrounded by yourself, if that makes sense. Like, I think that really hits the nail on the head. Lulu, one of the things that I was kind of talking about when you had your brief power outage was that we were talking about, I was like, I really love how frequently and with full chest you're using the word fat. I think that's super, super important from a like taking it back standpoint. And so when I think of safe communities, I'm not, trying to brown nose or anything like that. But when I think of safe communities and people that are part of that, I do think of you in that conversation quite a bit, because I hear your name brought up by other people. I hear your name brought up by people that have either sought out you for help or just see you from a leadership standpoint of creating safe spaces like that. What do you think that you like? What do you think that makes that kind of come naturally to you? How does that kind of come naturally to you?
I mean, I don't want to get into childhood trauma. No.
By no means, you don't have to. But...
No, I'm just kidding. I'm being dramatic. I just accept people as they are, and I always have. And I know that I want to treat people the way that I wish that I had been treated my entire life. And if I can be that somebody, if I can be the Bobby, because Bobby did a lot for me. I know that they mentioned it. Bobby did a lot for me. If I can be the Bobby for other people, then I'm going to be that Bobby. And of course, I'm going to say fat. I'm fat. It happens. I'm fat. And I accept that. And I will say that with my whole chest. But I don't want to like be nonchalant and say, oh, it's just me. It's just who I am. But I want with my entire heart to be the kind of person that people can go to and people can say they lead by example, because that's what I want to do. I want to lead by example. I want to treat everybody the way that they deserve to be treated, which is with compassion, acceptance, love, and education. And I say education because everybody is in a different state of learning, and I am too. I learn new things every single day. And accepting that everybody is like perfectly imperfect, let's get our Target branding in there. But accepting that everybody is different and everybody's in a different state of learning, and that everybody just deserves basic human compassion is just how I live my entire life. And because I mean, that's the energy I want. It's very much like with me, with Ludibelle, it's very much give me give me good energy and I'll give you good energy. Give me bad energy and I'll still give you good energy because I'm very shy.
And I don't like conflict. So yeah,
I don't like conflict.
But I tell you what, I don't like it, but I will if for the right reasons. Do you know what I mean?
I don't. I may not like outright go at you, but oh boy, howdy on the inside, I'm real mad.
Oh.
But also thank you for all that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say that.
My eyes.
I say that from and literally that's not on my list of things. I was just like, it just kind of occurred to me. I was like, oh yeah, you're kind of that part of those conversations a lot. Same with Bobby, right? And I think that's obviously one, why you're like leaders in community, but like two, like I think that's why it's really great to have you here, just to be able to kind of provide that like level of feedback and kind of information as well. Kosi, I want to spin this safe spaces conversation toward toxicity, not intentionally, but like just in terms of like we all know, unfortunately, weekly, monthly, quarterly, that there's some villain of the month streamer that is preaching one thing and then being completely toxic in their spaces. What are ways that you help prevent toxicity in your community? Especially, I ask specifically because I think you come from a unique standpoint from that fitness background standpoint. How do you try to prevent that toxicity from sneaking into your community?
Just really paying careful attention to who I try to network with, but more so through action. So a lot of things that I'll be saying is kind of like a repeat of what everyone else has said. So in my space, I have a lot of streaming friends, a lot of networking friends, and I love that, right? And so when viewers come in and they see that I am not trying to take something, like I said, I don't try to own the experience or own the knowledge of something that I don't really have to like say, or maybe say the way I want to. I'm always like, I know this really amazing person, or I know this really amazing person, HaiBobby, Queenie, you, CeeDub, anyone. I've known so many people. And I think when doing that, what I'm hoping for rather is that people are starting to see we can't do anything in this world just purely on our own. It's just, it doesn't promote goodness, like when you have to interact with other people, when you admit that you are not perfect, when you admit that other people have, just better advice or just have more knowledge than you kind of remove that toxicity. People start wanting to understand each other, like, oh, this person knows all this, why isn't Kosi telling me? Or it's like, I asked you, and it's like, because I don't know, and I know someone else who I think is just better at it, and I love sending people to the Overture Discord. I love sending people to Spark Discord or wherever they need to go. It doesn't have to be with me. And so I think in order to combat toxicity of like the villain of the month, you have to combat that with just as much positivity, which is the good people that are constantly around. And it's not just a good person of the month. These people on this panel and everywhere else in their communities exist every day. And I think we need to remember that.
I agree with that 100%. I think that it's not a random one-off kind of situation. We got to be there every day and living it and like actually putting it into action. My last question for you all, and this is a fun question. And you don't have to go into details about this, but if you were going to recommend a game that you think embraces body acceptance or all body types that you really love, what game would that be? And you're welcome to quickly share why, but I would say for me, I think even though I don't play it anymore, like Final Fantasy 14, like really does let you create some really awesome body types and let you kind of just like live your fantasy, if you will, like where you can truly create who you want to be.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Bobby, please.
I was gonna say I played this recently over the summer. Boyfriend Dungeon was really fun to play. They have different boyfriend and people you can date, and they're all different body types. I would also say Apex, even though like different genders, body types, you know, cultural backgrounds and stuff. Not necessarily a create your character type thing, but different things you can identify with.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say the Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah.
It's a newer game, and I was just playing it yesterday. But I think I have PCOS, and so sometimes my body does things that would like typically be aligned to like masculine features. Like I grow body hair, and it's not my favorite thing about myself, but it's just how my body is. And something that's like helped me kind of combat that. Like I feel feminine, I feel like a woman, but my body has these like masculine presentations. But seeing like drag artists who are completely femme presenting with a full beard, I love it, and it really challenged those ideals that I had of what femininity is and masculinity is. And it's like Disney Dreamlight does that like so well, where nothing is gendered. If you want to have purple hair and a mustache, you can have purple hair and a mustache, and it's fantastic. And it still has like the feminine energy that I am wanting to possess, but I also have a mustache, and it's so cool.
I love that. Kosi, what game would you throw out for people?
Bobby mentioned it. It's Apex. So
yeah.
my gaming repertoire is not very large. I
Sure.
really only do like esport competitive games. But yeah, you know, Apex, this is gonna sound super sus, but I played season 1 and I gravitated a lot towards Gibby. And then learning more about his character, and I was just like, wow, finally, you know, a gay character that isn't just super shredded, isn't like super thin, twink, mega, like I said, you know, earlier, 8-pack abs. But yeah, you know, Apex has, I think, a good message in there that represents so many different ways that you can kind of see people presented in that kind of atmosphere.
Lulu, you got one more recommendation as we wrap up here?
I was gonna say Boyfriend Dungeon and Apex Legends.
Those are the only 2 games out right now.
But Apex Legends is pretty much, it sets the bar, because not only is there different body type representation, like it is not a game that's catered to anybody's gaze. And I think a lot of the problems that at least we as queer people, and especially the problems that women face in gaming, is understanding that a lot of these characters are made for a certain gaze. And I would love to see in the comments more recommendations for games that do not have that gaze, because even now I could come up with 2 that were already said. And so so Apex Legends does an excellent job. Boyfriend Dungeon is an indie game that features and represents all kinds of different presentations and body types. I think a lot of your indie dating sims will do that these days. And Queenie, please. But I wish I had more recommendations on this, but I don't, and I feel like that's a problem that we should talk about.
It sure is. It definitely is a problem, one that we will not be able to get to today. But I do really appreciate you being able to share that. Please, again, in chat, if you are in chat right now, drop some more game suggestions here, where you know, any place that you think that you see yourself in gaming is super, super important. I really want to thank all of the panelists today for joining us. This is such a great conversation, and we barely scratched the surface of like the deeper stuff that can come out of really focusing on making sure that you're recognized. So I want to just say a big thank you to Kocinan, HaiBobby, Ludibelle, Trauma Queenie. Thank you so much for being here. And again, thank you everyone in chat for being here and watching our panel today. Specifically, thank you to Gayming Magazine for having us, letting us be part of this really amazing event. Thank you to Ally and Devolver for sponsoring this session as well. And if you want to check out what else is happening as part of Gayming Live, there's a full day and slate of things that you can find for tomorrow as well over on gayming.live. And then you can also follow at Gayming Mag on all their socials. Twitter's a great place to catch what's going on as we go forward. But I just want to thank you all so much for participating today. This really means a whole lot to me that we were able to get together and have this conversation and really talk about it from a place of queer joy, where we're saying, hey, I'm who I am today because I accept myself for what I am. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.